Hola, hello, and welcome to the TechGig podcast, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Sukriti, and today I'm here with an exclusive episode on the Nexus Android Trojan, unraveling the latest threat to your mobile security. Now, guys, have you heard about this Nexus Android Trojan? Well, it's a nasty piece of malware that can actually seriously harm an organization by stealing sensitive information from Android devices. Now, Nexus is the name of the banking Trojan targeting the Android operating systems. And according to the research, Nexus is the rebranded version of the S.O.V.A banking Trojan. As the classification implies, this malware primarily targets the banking and finance related information. And however, Nexus has a variety of malicious functionalities and thus poses threats of several kinds at an even broader scope. Whether it's a small business or a large enterprise, this malware can actually hamper the security of all the information that an organization or an individual holds on to. In order to have a better understanding and prevention of this malware, I'm here with our special guest, Mohanraj Selvaraj, who is the head of engineering at Protectt.ai. Welcome to the show, Mohan. I'm so delighted to have you for the podcast today.
Hey, thanks, Pudi. Thanks for giving a brief introduction, and I'm really excited and happy to share the knowledge around, the kind of malware that we are getting to see in the form of Nexus at the moment, and there are a lot of other malwares which are primarily targeting the banking mobile application and sensitive mobile application, right? So I'm really excited to share my knowledge and hope this will create a lot of awareness amongst the audience.
Thanks, Mohan. I think this awareness part is very important. As journalists, as content creators, it's our job to spread the most rightful information to the audience in the most righteous manner. So, to start with, how do you think these Android mobile banking apps can get affected by?
Yes. So to begin with, I'll just give a little bit of background about how this Nexus Trojan, the malware, is impacting the banking ecosystem specifically, right? So basically, Nexus as a Trojan, which is actually capable of extracting the personal information, extracting the sensitive information like your credentials, and it can even take out your authentication. For example, in case if you are using 2FA medium or anything, can be captured, right? So how exactly this malware is operating and how it is distributed, right? So I'll just give a little bit of background about it. So around last year, June, right, there was a malware researcher group called Cyble. They indicated that there is some kind of malware which is emerging in the market, which is going to potentially impact the banking customers, right? And by January of this year, right, this particular Nexus Trojan was started actively, impacting the mobile banking application. And in case if you are going by the report, more than 450 mobile banking application is already targeted and attacked, right? So how exactly this malware is working, right? So basically, this malware is a service which was actually created by a group of cyber researchers. In a way, the hackers who try to penetrate and target the mobile banking application, and they give it to other attackers and hackers, right? So any hacker who wants to take this malware as a service, they can get these access to the Trojan, the malware through the black listed market and the private channels, right? So as in today, as we speak, this Trojan is not available on the Play Store. The impacted users, whoever is getting targeted, they get this particular piece of malware through the untrusted source of installation, right? So which means this Trojan can be sideloaded with other applications that we generally use. In case if you're going to download certain application not from Play Store, not from App Store, you have to be vigilant about it. You have to validate the kind of application that you're using, which is not installed from Play Store, right? And technically, what will happen once you have this Trojan installed on your device, right? It'll first take the escalated sensitive permission called accessibility service, right? So all of us, using the mobile smartphone, mobile devices, there is a special settings in our mobile device called accessibility service, right? Once you enable accessibility service for any third-party application, right? The third-party application now has got the complete access to your device, and it can now start reading all the keystrokes. So which means anything and everything which you are going to type on your mobile phone can be monitored by the malware through accessibility service. That is one. Two, this accessibility permission. With this accessibility permission, the malware can understand what kind of application you are using, right? So basically, it can monitor which application you are launching at this moment, right? With that, it can create an overlay, which means, let's say I'm going to use some XYZ mobile banking application, and the malware is configured to target that XYZ mobile banking application, right? The moment you launch XYZ mobile application, the overlay, which is almost a look-alike of the targeted banking application, will appear on your screen, right? So it will be a complete look-alike of your genuine application, and as an end user, there is you will have no clue, and you cannot differentiate between the genuine version of the mobile application versus this malware look-alike screen. So the overlays will start appearing on top of your genuine application. And let's see, if you're going to enter username password, which you typically use for your mobile banking, right? You will end up giving that to the malware, and the malware will in turn forward the information to the command in center controlled by the hacker, right? So that's where we have to be sensitive about how this malware is working, and we should be able to mitigate that. And in a way, if you ask me, with a right set of knowledge and awareness around how those malwares are working, all of us can actually protect ourselves, and certain technologies which can help you to protect you as an individual and the organization which are being targeted.
So moving on to the next one, Mohan, how do you identify that there could be a probable Nexus Android Trojan attack?
Perfect. So basically, Nexus as a malware is one of the sophisticated malware, right? For any layman to identify that they are one of the victim of such malware is slightly difficult, but definitely we can identify certain indicators, certain key indicators with which all mobile users can able to understand that there is some difference in your mobile phone, right? So since we talked about accessibility service is playing the key role here, right? Which will be activated as long as your mobile device is active, which means this malware which has got the accessibility permission, right, which will run in the background forever, right? So what will happen? Every keystroke it is going to monitor, every launch of any application it is going to monitor. So technically, your mobile device will become slightly slow and sluggish. So performance of your device will be one of the key indicator for you. Then, since this is running in background forever, the battery will get drained very frequently than normal. So that is another key indicator for you, and you can expect some unexpected alerts appearing on top of the other application when you're using some other application. If something else coming on top of that, some pop-ups while using the mobile apps and your mobile browsers, these things can help you to understand that there is something fishy about your device which is trying to take over the control, right? So that is one of the key indicator with which possibly you can go and verify that.
Okay, so Mohan, I'm sure there are so many other malwares in the the cybersecurity world that are actually hampering and affecting the safety of our information and all the data that we have. What are the other similar mobile banking malwares that you can actually identify for our audience today?
Great. In case if you're going to just take the last 3-4 months, just the last quarter, if I'm going to count only that, there was certain malware which was actually actively exploiting the same accessibility service which we are talking about, right? S.O.V.A is one of the malware which was directly targeting the mobile banking application, even some of the Indian mobile banking applications were targeted by S.O.V.A. Then Drink was one more malware, again, which was trying to exploit the same accessibility permission, right? And apart from this, there are certain malware which specific to Indian scenario, I would say, right? In India, we are using real-time payment system, wherein we started using UPI mobile application, the account takeover of the UPI users, right, by using SMS forwarder. That is another way of targeting the end user through the malwares, right? So, SMS as a medium is actually targeted by the malware. That way, if you see specifically Indian market, we have seen SOVA, we have seen Drink, and now Nexus and SMS forwarders, and there are a lot of other malware which is capable of taking screenshot of sensitive screens and all that, right? So that's where we believe that the organization which is delivering such sensitive application to the end user should have certain controls in place to mitigate that.
Okay. And is there any regulatory compliance to control such malware incidences, Mohan? Because, of course, I'm sure the government as well as a lot of organizations have already started working on this. But I think the awareness is very important. So just help us understand if there are any regulatory compliance to control such malware.
Absolutely, yes. So basically, there is a regulatory compliances in place. In case if you're going to talk about the mobile banking specifically, both Reserve Bank of India, National Payment Corporation of India, NPCI, both of them are actually very active in this standpoint, and they have actually created regulatory compliances in the form of DPSC, Digital Payment Security Controls, which all the mobile banking application has to comply to, right? So basically, there are many parameters which is talking about even the anti-malware capability, which we are talking about today, right? So RBI is specifically has given instruction to the banking applications to have the anti-malware control in place to prevent the malwares to victimize the banking end user, right? And similarly, NPCI, if you see, they give a lot of circulars and recommendation in very regular basis, and they notify all the banks with all the emerging challenges targeting the banking mobile application. And as we speak, even we have seen last month, NPCI has given a regulation recommendation with certain signatures of SMS forwarders, right? So that way, the regulatory compliance is already in place, but for all the organization to follow that is one of the key challenge in a way.
I'm sure, Mohan, the adaptation and the progress is still on, and we equally have to reinforce ourselves to let these compliances also come into place. Now, coming to your organization, Protectt.ai, how does actually Protectt.ai helps in tackling this problem, and how it can actually help organizations to stay protected? How do you do it as an organization?
Great. So Protectt.ai is a mobile app threat defense focused organization, right? So we help sensitive mobile apps to enhance the security posture to withstand the known and emerging threats targeting the mobile apps, right? So we have done a lot of research and developed solutions which can be integrated with sensitive mobile apps, such as the application developed by a BFSI mobile application, I would specifically say, and our solution is actually adopted and used by many of the reputed banks and insurance companies and the trade platforms, right? So we do a continuous research and gather threat intelligence through our continuous threat hunting, right? And we have nurtured cyber engineers capable of simulating and testing the emerging zero-day threats, right? And our solution is continuously enhanced with all the threat intelligence that we gather, and we provide security which is up to date for our customers, right? So if you see, one of the key gap in the market today is cybersecurity development is something, the expertise of the cybersecurity is not there in the market, right? And the developers who are developing the mobile application possibly focusing more on the UI UX and domain focused development, right? But when it comes to cybersecurity, which is a very dynamic domain in nature, right? We talk about 3, 4 malware came and targeted Indian customers in last 3 months, right? So the developers to keep themselves updated and getting the solution updated to withstand such malware attacks, right, is nearly impossible, right? So that's where Protectt.ai as an organization bringing in value addition solution in the form of a cybersecurity solution can be integrated with the sensitive application, which will help the organization to get the continuous security.
All right. And what are the key features of the so-called RASP mobile security, Mohan?
Great. Our run time application self-protection RASP solution, App Protect, is one of the flagship product from Protectt.ai, right? Which creates a security layer on top of a sensitive mobile apps, and which gives you about 50 plus cybersecurity features by default, right? And it can be integrated with any sensitive mobile application, irrespective of the technology that you are using. So we call our solution is technology agnostic solution, right? And which can eliminate the common fraudulent scenarios, and it can defend any sort of cyber attacks emerging from the compromised device, the compromised network, and other compromised application, right? And our customers, they get a real-time dashboard to monitor the threat posture of their end user, and they can control the security as a rule from our portal, right? Which makes the configuration of the cyber security easier for the organization. Additionally, we talked about the regulatory compliances, right? The regulatory compliances is not going to be, static. We get a lot of inputs from the regulators, and always keeping up with the regulatory guidelines is one of the key challenge for the organization. So with App Protect, we inbuilt all the regulatory compliances and guidelines. Whatever is being given by RBI, NPCI, and SEBI, right? And all this regulatory compliances will be taken care by default for you. And we provide anti-malware solution, which works on the behavioral validation to trace back the indicators of compromises, right? And that can actually warn the end user as and when we identify certain vulnerability on the end user's device, right? Which is one of the much appreciated solution of our flagship product app.
All right. So, Mohan, it was and indeed a very, very insightful conversation. We began with the whole concept of the Nexus Android Trojan, how it's actually impacting and the compliances and everything. Now that we have actually come down to wrap up this conversation, the last one is the most critical one because it's about the awareness that we had spoken. What suggestions or tips would you want to give to our audience when it comes to the mobile app security?
Perfect. So for any end user who's using the sensitive mobile application, and all of us are doing that, right? So we have to be very vigilant about what kind of permissions we are giving to the applications installed in our device. Specifically, some of the sensitive permissions like accessibility service, which we are talking about, right? So we should always validate which all of the application has got the accessibility service granted, right? Because any application with accessibility service can take over the control of your mobile device. So it is always important to have the right set of validation on what kind of applications are taking such sensitive permission, right? Which is very much easier for all of us to do. Just go to your settings, open your settings, and see accessibility permission, and under accessibility permission, which are all the application is requesting for that. In case if you have granted that permission to any unknown application, right, it is recommended to go and disable that, right? So that is one key thing for sure will keep you safe and protected from such malware. Similarly, in case when we are going to talk about the Indian scenario, malware is one part of it, and social engineering attack, right? So we have to be, as a society, we have to evolve in terms of cyber awareness, wherein we should actually make sure that we don't leak the sensitive information, by giving the sensitive information over the call, over the SMS, right? That is one of the biggest challenge for the organization also, to fight and get the control of such social engineering attacks, right? So that's where, as an end user, cyber awareness is one of the important thing that we have to always aware.
All right, Mohan, thank you so much for sharing the detailed information on the Nexus Android Trojan. I think this is one of the must-haves of awareness when it comes to the cybersecurity.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me today, and I hope this information for sure will help someone who's going to listen to this podcast for sure. They'll go into their settings and they'll periodically check how their sensitive permissions are being given to the other application, and for sure that will help a lot of users to keep themselves protected and keep their mobile applications, banking applications safe from the malware attacks.
Definitely, Mohan. And these threats associated with an infection depends on the malware's functionalities, as you spoke. And the entire when we talk about the cyber criminals, their modus operandi is this, and Nexus is, of course, the banking Trojan that we're talking about. It kind of targets the finance-related information, and of course, is harmful. Typically, such infections can actually result into very severe privacy issues, significant financial losses, and identity theft as well. Folks, I hope this episode will help you understand, identify, and safeguard all your information. I will see you in another episode soon. Stay tuned to TechGig for more such tech podcasts. This is your host signing off. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.